Devinder Singh Kaith, welcome back to the WP Minute.
Thank you for inviting me back.
For folks that don't know, you're the reason why this whole thing started. We won't go down every nook and cranny of that story, but many years ago, I said to Devinder, "Hey, can I just read your newsletter?" And Devinder said, "Why don't you start a podcast about it yourself?" And then the WP Minute was born. So thank you. I think.
You're welcome.
This.
All simple things become awesome, just like the WP Minute. It's just you have to start it in a simple way.
Yeah. So you run, I think most famously now, the WPweekly.com. The awards just came out for 2025. We're going to chat about those. But I know you do a lot of stuff. Every now and again, I see you tweet out something that says, "Oh my God, I've registered another domain." What does the empire look like these days? How much stuff do you have branded under the WP Weekly?
Well, not many, but it's gonna get few siblings probably in 2025. Not 2026. We are still in 2025. You still get to used to talking to 2026. But yeah, as you get older, your addiction to buy new domains get little down. So I usually don't buy many domains. But yeah, excited for 2026 now. Now that you asked about what's there coming in the WordPress empire, I don't know if you follow that closely, that I had a project called pluginsly.com, which was basically listing of plugins and all that. So it was there, it was good, but I'm going to rebrand and redo in a different direction. And I've already done the branding and all that. And the new name is, I'm going to announce it here. Probably some people already know it's pluginsdaily.com. Simple, to the point. And yeah, and I might even reboot my podcast, but one thing at a time, I guess.
One thing at a time. Can we unpack that? I've been talking to a lot of creators over the end of this year. I interviewed Remkes yesterday for an upcoming show, talking about like what it's like to be a creator. He's getting into courses now. I'm getting into courses at the WP Minute. So you said you rebranded it. Was it not working? Can you unpack that for us? Like, what was the challenge there, and why rebrand it?
Well, firstly, the name, I bought Pluginsly, plugins plus ly, that fancy thing. But I mean, it's good for me. But when you look back, when you go zoom out of the picture, it's not, that good for the concept that I was going for. So I went to the drawing board, the WP Weekly sounds simple, to the point. So why not just replicate the model that has worked before, in not just in doing stuff, but also naming stuff. So plugins daily sounds better. Daily, you discover new plugins daily, and this is coming out of need of developers, especially new plugin creators, because I interact with a lot of them who promote their stuff on the WP Weekly, because most of the stuff that is presented on WP Weekly is free, and I love to share the first plugin from a developer, because that is like your first baby, and and most people are lost about it, especially developers. Like, how do I promote it? Like, how do I put this forward in front of people? So Plugins Daily would be another avenue for them, and it would be all free, nothing paid and all that. So yeah, it's not competing with WordPress org or something. It's just basically collecting. There are a lot of plugins that get released on GitHub as well, or on the personal website, but they don't get that many eyeballs. So it's like encapsulating the best of WordPress org, GitHub, and the private, websites.
Yeah. I think that there's something to, this is my criticism to you, and not that you've asked for it, but we're here and let's talk about it. And I talked to Remkes about this as well. And I don't think it's bad to have like a sponsored spot, right? Or a place for somebody to pay to get that promotion, because you and I, and those of us that do sponsorship in a tasteful way, like, we're working hard to do this thing, right? And folks that want that exposure, yeah, if you come to me with a really cool story, a really cool angle, yeah, I'll probably feature you. But if it's just, hey, we got a new version, can you talk about it? I probably won't, again, unless it's amazing. I don't think it's bad to have a paid spot. What are your thoughts on that, to on-ramp folks to get that promotion?
I'm all for sponsorship. In fact, WP Weekly, it runs on sponsorship itself. Because, and thankfully, most of the sponsorship slots are already, they're already taken up and they get renewed and renewed because people see return on the investment, not just in terms of exposure. And I'm all for it. And not just sponsorship. I actually use affiliate links on, the WP Weekly, and it adds a secondary, source of income. Because again, if you're doing something, you got to attach value to it in terms of making money as well. Everything can't be free. Now, we talk about WordPress as a community, it's like open source and all that. Just imagine, and there's a lot of money in WordPress ecosystem. Just imagine if we suck out all the money, would you be here? I be here? Or in fact, 99.99% people will be gone from here, right? So money is a very important factor. And I actually discussed the same thing on the Lee Jackson's podcast recently. Like, if you are sharing something, adding an affiliate link is not an evil thing like most people perceive it. And guess what? I got little back, oh, this is, the affiliate links are evil and all that. I don't find affiliate links evil. It's win for both the creator as well as you as a promoter.
Yeah. I mean, we as a WP Minute, like, I don't use affiliate links only because it's really for me the distaste is not the right word. Evil is not the right word. It's more so about the approach from the person bringing me the affiliate link, right? It's just like, hey, promote this and we'll give you an affiliate link. And it's like, well, I need more than that, for this thing to operate. And it's usually the approach from the other side that drives me away from using affiliate links. But I totally agree with you. Although I say that, but there are two affiliate links that I use all the time, which I am proud to do, and they pay me well, is Transistor, the podcast hosting company I use, and SavvyCal, which is the piece of software I use to book links. And they're just great pieces of software, so it's very easy for me to do that. But I totally agree with you. Like, that secondary level of revenue and adding to the whole pool of the sustainable business is important. Where do you think plugin developers, or the folks that you're talking to, plugin developers, what else can they do to stand out? Like, do you give them like some marketing 101 advice? How do you get them engaged so that they can level up their business aside from reaching out to folks like you and I to get that exposure? Like, do you ever give them any coaching advice?
Well, yes, the classic mistake most plugin developers do is they will add a new feature, write about that in a change log which is buried in, some page, and they will not blog about it, they will not post about it, they will not tweet about it or X about it. It's about, you have to inform people that you've added new feature. And to add on it, like, for a new developer, obviously it's like too overwhelming to create a video, and create an audio or maybe social media stuff, but at least you can write a blog post with screenshot. But if you compare it with people who are established, who have many plugins, they actually do videos, and get on podcasts. So you should basically reach from every possible direction when it comes to marketing. It's not like Facebook is working, this is working. You should try everything depending on your capacity. And that is where people fail. I can't do this. I've made a plugin, it will sell. No, making a plugin is just 30% of the job. 70% is marketing.
Yes. Yeah. I haven't analyzed it in a while, but maybe I'm sure you have, because of the rebrand and like maybe whatever you're going to do for like the daily cadence of this kind of content. I remember seeing like there was like a 500 person waiting list for the plugin team to approve, and they've done a bunch of things to like fast track that. Now people are waiting like maybe a week to 2 weeks, where before it's maybe months. I assume you're seeing an increase in plugin development. Is that because, in your opinion, people are turning to AI and being able to build these things quickly, and they're getting into the game of plugin development to see if they can make some money here? Or is it just the sheer opportunity for WordPress plugins now, and there's just, hey, we're all in on WordPress? Like, why do you think there's such an increase of plugin the developers going to WordPress.org these days?
Firstly, it's easy to make a plugin if you know development. I am not the one, so it's rocket science for me. because I don't know, but I can definitely read the code and, make sense of it. But yes, money is one part, but then there's also creativity. Like, for example, there's a form plugin. Like Gravity Form is the OG of forms, right? But every other week we see another form plugin, right? And it does the same thing what a Gravity Form would do, right? But still people are doing it because there are only 10 things, basic 10 things on a WordPress website a person would do: form, builder, theme, right? And people are launching the same thing and say, oh, there's another form plugin. But then everyone is approaching their product in a different way, in a different UI, how they're going to support it, how they're going to lay out the features. So the money is there. And obviously, AI is helping. I've seen a lot of seasoned plugin developer now using AI to build few small components that can be added to the main plugin because it's easier and faster for them. So yeah, AI plus money has never gone out of the ecosystem. Like a lot of people, there's a chatter also, this small chatter like WordPress is stagnant, dead, and whatever, right? It's not dead, it's running like cheetah. So go make a plugin.
And we have, sort of like, I don't want to say on the sidelines, but I guess on the sidelines we have that the Fair Package Manager, which is like a whole other sort of network to distribute plugins. Have you followed along with that? Have you seen any of the stuff that they've done lately? Do you see that as a boost to getting, like you said, like people are putting the .org, GitHub, their own personal website? That fourth one would be Fair. What are your thoughts on that sort of technology entering the market?
I think more the distribution channel better for the ecosystem. I think irrespective of people with vested interest, like I don't like this channel, I don't like that channel. I think because WordPress is all about freedom, and if you give freedom in and extend that freedom to even distribution of plugin, why not? Fair has been making right noises from the start, and they've been adding on to it, and there are a lot of well-known people behind it. So the future looks bright.
Yeah. Let's turn our attention to the WP Awards 2025. They were recently announced last week, right? Last week or
Yep.
earlier this week, I forget. Here's the question: how many years running now for the WP Awards?
This is the 5th year, so it started in 2020.
And what's your biggest takeaway running it 5 years? Like what's the lesson you've learned as the curator of the awards? And then let's talk about like the pattern that you've seen in folks picking certain categories. First, your lesson as the curator of the awards.
Firstly, it's a lot of work, and it's difficult to make and it's difficult to make everyone happy. Like, when I started it, like the first edition, even I was, exploring how it should be done. And my innate nature is like, let's do things in a more simple way, not, complicate things. So when I started, I was like, okay, how do I select nominations, right? Because everyone wants to be nominated, right? So I followed the same pattern as WordPress is. It's open for everyone. You can nominate yourself. Your user can nominate you. Any product gets there. But when it comes to voting, and the biggest lesson was, how do I control the voting pattern? Because when I started in the first year, the response was okay because it was new, right? Second year, it blew up really big. But then I had to figure out, like, how do I control the, spam entries, and, how, because a lot of people would say, oh, I have 100 employees. I'll just ask my 100 employees to vote for 100 votes, right? I don't mind that as long as it's a unique person or a unique email ID that's doing it. So over the years, I've added, this year I've been really strict. Like last to last year, I added the, unique IP address validation. Like if you are trying to vote from the same IP address, you will not able to vote it. Like the form will not submit. So this year, not just I did that, but I also took out all the email addresses that was there, ran it through the spam filter. So it was like 1,500 spam entries that got, culled at the beginning. So yeah, so step by step, I'm also, because again, security, spam, there's no 100% foolproofing anywhere. It's just a learning step one by one. So yeah, it's but this year I think this has been the best ever response, like this year 2025. So yeah, I'm happy about it.
What are the logistics, just so for folks who don't know about the awards, when do the nominations start, and are you changing that for 2026? So how long do you give yourself to get nominations?
I've been following the same patterns. The nomination period runs from 40 to 50 days. Again, after that ends, there's a break of 10 days. And then again, voting period runs from 40 to 50 days. And once that is done, I take a break of one week to calculate votes and all that. Uh, yeah, and then because now I'm a little more prepared, so I make the final, result page minus the voting count in advance. And the first year I was so dumb. I shouldn't be calling that. When I was trying to calculate votes, and I said I'm going to calculate manually, and I spent so many hours calculating manually. I think this is not how you should do it, right?
Yeah.
So now it's easy. Like I just download the whole Excel sheet of the voting. I dump it into the Google Drive, and then I have a function that I run. So it will basically automatically calculate who got how many votes in per category. So yeah, it's like 10 minutes job now.
Let's talk about the categories. Let me just scroll down. Oh, you probably already know off the top of your head.
Another pain point.
We have 29 categories, and the 29th category is niche plugins. So that's when you were like, screw it. I just gotta have this one category. I'm just gonna throw everybody into this. How do you come up with categories? And I'm sure, and we'll tell a story how I reached out to you representing Gravity Forms in a little bit, but I'm sure you have folks knocking on the door going, don't put me in this category, put me in that category, or why don't we have this category? Explain those logistics and pain points.
You've just hit the nail on the head. I get asked these questions every year, and when when the voting opens and someone come and email or DM me, hey, my product should not be in this category, it should be in that category. And I say, okay, I don't argue with anyone. I just, okay, I'll put it there. Even though, if you go to the niche plugin, category, there are few entries or nominees that could have been in their own category above. But again, people say, oh, I don't want my product in this category and that category. But then categories have evolved over time. Like the bricks add-on category, like I used to get a lot of, bricks product submissions, right? And adding bricks add-ons in a page builder category would be, little, defeating the purpose. So over the years, Elementor add-ons became a category, bricks add-ons became a category. Then there was a WooCommerce issue as well. Now there's a single WooCommerce add-on, plus there are people who make, they have a shop with multiple WooCommerce add-ons. So I split it into two. So you can nominate your WooCommerce add-ons shop with multiple add-ons, or if you are running like a single add-on, that goes into a separate category. And next year I'm planning to, split even further, maybe do 30, 35 categories. I don't know, but yes, there could be, this is a, I guess, step-by-step improvement process, because there's no perfect answer to it, because there will be someone in some corner unhappy about it. I'm not perfect.
Yeah. It's tough. And when you open up nominations or you open up voting, it was for Gravity Forms anyway. Some of our certified developers were in the form building tools, which, like, if you didn't know anything about the space, you'd be like, oh, that makes sense, right? But then that would mean that folks would be voting for, sort of, I guess what you were just saying with like bricks, people would be voting for Gravity Forms add-on in the category where Gravity Forms is in there for the form building tool. So that would make the person like try to decide, and if they were just a customer of one of the CDs, maybe they're voting for them just to help them out or whatever, and that would take away from the Gravity Forms side of it. So totally agree. Have you thought about, again, open criticism, but we're here. Have you thought about running like nominations directly to the businesses first, if that makes sense? Like, in other words, have you thought about taking the business categories that are in here and saying, hey, for the first week, make sure that you're in the right category that you should be in, and give me that feedback, and then open up nominations? Have you thought about adding that? It's more work, but I'm wondering if that would help lessen the burden later when the votes are coming in and then people are knocking on your door going, hey, move me over here, put me over there.
So what I did this year and even last year was, like, during the nomination form, I never had categories there. But now I added an open-ended field where you can add a category that you feel it's right, rather than a drop-down box that said page builders, this and that. So that at least gives me an idea where this person wants to slot their plugin or service, right? So this is one improvement I did. I think the other improvement can be, like, when I open, voting. Just first 1 week could be just a dry run. You can see all the nominees that are there for the voting. And if you have any objection, there's 1 week, let me know. And then the actual voting opens a week after that. So yeah, probably another idea to work on.
Yeah. Yeah. In the podcast world, not the WordPress podcast world, the actual adult podcast world, the industry, the awards, like the big awards that they have for podcast, you have to actually buy into the nominations. Like you have to spend money to get into the nominations. And I'm just like, this is, coming from WordPress and coming from like this open source mentality that you and I share, it's just like, hey, no, we're trying to open this up for everybody. Like everybody has a way to get in. But in like real world, they're actually, and I'm sure this goes across any industry that's doing awards, they're paying for the nominations and stuff like that, the slots for it. And I was just like, really? That's how this stuff gets done? And it's so weird. But I also get it from that side of it because there's big money at play. Not that there's not big money at play here, but there's also bigger money at play, I guess.
Well, I said it's like WP Awards is a lot of work, but it's also a return on investment that I get because thanks to sponsors for the awards, and they've been, because there's no actual return on investment for a person's or a company sponsoring an award. Obviously, there's a visibility part of it, but it's more like a community support. And if you see, there are a lot of brands that supported this year, and they've been supporting like year after year. So there is money in WordPress.
Yeah. Yes, there is. Let's talk about some of the surprise categories, and I'm wondering what you can like pinpoint on how maybe people interact with the survey. So podcasts, which this podcast won the Gold Award this year, it's one of the lower categories of votes, right, across the board. I'm interested to hear like your feedback on where you see the most performant categories, and if people aren't voting in those categories, do you start to think maybe I shouldn't include this category next year? And please keep the podcast category.
I think the most popular is always like themes, page builders, form plugins, and also, the ecosystem players from Bricks and Elementor. Like, people are very loyal and they just want to show their loyalty by voting. So that is why even the Elementor add-ons and Bricks add-on, which compared to the overall WordPress ecosystem is still a subset, right? But they still get a lot of votes. And even the developer tools, dynamic data, ACF is always at the top because developers love their tools. They want to show off like, I love this tool, so I'm going to come and vote for it, right? That is why ACF and Metabox, all these dynamic data plugins, they get a lot of votes. So yeah, it's all about people loving a tool and then coming. And the other thing, now you're talking about the which get most, I also got this criticism earlier. If you see the first 2-3 versions of the awards years, I used to display every vote count for every nominee, and some people reached out to me, hey, I like to participate, but I don't like getting seen like my product got only 1 vote or a 0 vote, so you got to fix that. So the way I fixed it, I just displayed the first 6 top vote getters in every category. I think that's more fair.
And I think it's fair to say that folks can just, like, if you go to the wpweekly.com/awards hyphen and then put the year after it. So like right now I put 2023. I can go back and look at what happened in 2023. Let me see. WordPress podcast. I lost. And I was beat out by DiviChat. But DiviChat, I'm sure, did a concerted effort to push this to their audience, right? At the time, they, the podcast was running. They were, probably, pushing it out to their audience, saying, please go vote. So that leads me to sort of like the last question here. What are your thoughts on that promotional side of it? Like, what do you want to see? I mean, we mentioned spam bots before, or not spam bots, but folks like voting with their team behind the IP address. But how do you want folks to healthily share this to encourage users to vote? I put it in the newsletter for the WP Minute. I mentioned on the podcast, like, please go vote and support us. What else do you want people to do to encourage votes for their brand?
Yeah, if you've been nominated, you can reach out to your tribe users via email list, social media posted, but don't go into the bribe mode like you get 20% off if you vote for us.
Oh,
That's the only thing I would not want to people to do it. Like now you added your award nomination in your newsletter and you won, right? So a little bit of effort is also needed from, all the nominees, and the effort shows in the results as well. It's not the people who didn't want were not the good products. They are also good products. It's just how you push out to your community.
yeah. Anything you can hint at for next year yet, or is it too early to say like any new feature you might add or any new way of going about this that you're thinking of?
No, I'm already tired.
You're already tired of thinking about it. That's great. That's great. Yeah. So check it out, the WPweekly.com/awards 2025. You can see the winners from 2025. I'm just going to read them, read the top 5 winners here. ACF Pro, number 1, WooCommerce, number 2, the admin bar for, let me read the subcategory. ACF Pro for dynamic data plugins, WooCommerce for e-commerce tools, the admin bar for WordPress community, Elementor for page builders, and Rank Math SEO for SEO plugins. Check that out at thewpweekly.com/awards 2025. There's a banner there. You can click it and get into it. The year's ending. December 12th is when we're recording this. I want to talk predictions 2026 for WordPress. What do you think is going to be the biggest change for WordPress, the software, in 2026? Have you started to think about that? Are you pontificating on what big changes might be ahead for WordPress?
I think Gutenberg will get even better. And we will see a little refresh of WordPress admin, which is already there in the roadmap for 7.0. I just read it like yesterday or probably today. So, plus, even though they are working on the AI WordPress team and all that, but they are actually building a really good foundation for WordPress and AI, talking really well to each other. I think more and more developers, third-party developers, might even leverage that because their AI team is definitely, if they are not building things that people would immediately use as of now, they're basically building the foundation. So expect little more AI into WordPress. I mean, on the foundational level, but yeah, and I think it's gonna remain rock solid, and probably we will have more community events in the next year compared to 2025. Like they've been just multiplying every year, and the WordCamp Asia, the big one, is coming to India next year. So yeah, that I think that would break the records. Like that would be the biggest WordCamp ever attended, probably.
Yeah. So we held a predictions episode. It will be out before this episode. And the thing I brought up there is, and you know me, you've known me for a while, and you know how I criticize things, but I'm under the impression that I think Matt and Automatic are going to want to shrink the amount of WordCamps and have a bigger, more automatic, controlled WordCamp. And I don't think it's a bad thing. When I think of like HubSpot and the Inbound conference, like HubSpot doesn't do a zillion meetups throughout the year and a million different events. They have one big one to show off, like, here's how we're leading the industry. Here's all the cool features in HubSpot. And I would imagine that Matt would want to make a bigger impact with a state of the word. Like if state of
Yeah.
the word was like an Apple day, they'd have to, because people are going to get too like, oh my God, 12 different word camps I've went to, throughout this year. It's like one a month. I mean, go on all these word camps. I think he's going to want one big one that says, this is what's coming to WordPress. And I actually kind of want that from like, hey, if you're going to up the value and the production value of it and make it look awesome, so like the rest of the world looks at that and goes, that's the WordPress that we want, I'm okay with that. But that's my crazy prediction. It's not going to happen in 2026, but I think it might set the stage for future years.
So your prediction, you're 50% right and 50% wrong in my view. Like in right in terms like state of word, I don't know what they're thinking about it, but I think state of the word should be scaled up to be the premier event because that's how you present the WordPress at an enterprise level. Now, coming back to the WordCamp, I don't think so. There will be any scaling down. I think they will go up the level. Why? The problem is you are in US and you're thinking from that lens, right? Now, if WordCamps go away and it's just state of the word, it's just US people from US and neighboring so-called developed countries would able to access that. And you hardly get visa for US these days, so forget about, I'm not even talking about the money aspect here. So yes, state of the word should be scaled up to be the event of the WordPress, representing WordPress at the level. But WordCamps will stay like that. In fact, they will grow a lot. And I list actually WordCamp events in my newsletter. So if I see every second or third week there's a WordCamp event in some corner of the world, and there are more events that are happening in Asia and even more in Africa now, which is a welcome change, I guess.
Yeah. Only time will tell. I mean, yeah, I totally agree with you. I see this through the lens of, where I'm at, in the US. And it's just, from the marketing, also like in the marketing brain of me, I'm just like, man, how many times can they like have these before people don't want to go to them? I'm a curmudgeon. I hate to travel. I don't even like traveling to State of the Word. I wasn't going to do that either. Like 7 hours on a plane, like to go across the country. I don't want to do that.
I think you should try it. You should try it. If not, in fact, you should try WordCamp Asia and WordCamp Europe. Some year, maybe next year. I think next year, obviously Asia is in India. The other one, WordCamp Europe, is probably in Poland. So yeah, just try it. You will love the vibe there. Even I used to think WordPress is a waste of time. That was my thinking like few years back, until I decided to attend one, and my thinking was all, flipped on the head.
Yeah. It's the travel for me, really is. That's the curmudgeon side of it. It's like, God, I got to get on a plane. I got to get there 4 hours early, leave 4 hours later. But you're right. I will try it. Let's close things out. The AI stuff really quick. Are you net positive on AI and its introduction to WordPress? Like, do you see that as a good thing? And how do you think they leverage, like, so much of the, how do I say this? Like, so much of the dominant stuff in AI is all these closed source businesses, OpenAI, even though it has the name open in it, Anthropic, Gemini, Google, Microsoft, all these folks. These are all like typical closed source players. I don't really see any discussion around the open source side of AI. There's a whole site called Hugging Face. You could check that out. It's like a GitHub for open source AI stuff. I never really hear that discussion coming into the WordPress game. And I'm curious if like we're all excited for the functionality of AI, but we're just taxing ourselves in the future by saying, well, you need OpenAI, you need Anthropic to do this. And I'm just curious your thoughts on that sort of tug of war.
Well, unfortunately, that's how the AI ecosystem is going as of now. Like we have a base layer where user interact, but under the base layer, there's a paid, closed ecosystem that is throwing out the data and you're interacting with it. So that's the sad reality as of now, unless some big companies with big funding pitches in and wants to do the open source version of it. If it does happen, I think it would be good for everyone, not just WordPress, even other, CMS platforms can also leverage it.
It's fantastic stuff. Devinder Singh Kainth, the WPweekly.com. Sign up to get your weekly dose of WordPress news. And don't forget to get your brand and company in the nomination pool for 2026. You know what? Start sending him messages now. Let's tire him out before the year even turns, and start telling him to get your business into a new category. And then the plugin daily. What's the URL for that one?
Pluginsdaily.com.
Pluginsdaily.com. Check that out as well. Devinder, it's always great catching up with you.
Thanks for inviting me.